Hello everyone, no it's over here, back with another video, and today I'm just going to do a quick little prediction video. I say quick, it's probably going to take about half an hour to get through it all, but prediction video nonetheless, for the 4 tiers of RLIS this season, season 11. In the background here I'm just going to have some footage from my last series, which was me putting in Techno on High Kings versus Saints, which is Ryan Decomp and Sosa. So you can see some of the 3s games and some of the 2s games. But we might as well get right into the actual predictions, because you don't want to hear about a series that's already happened. You want to hear my horrid predictions. So we might as well start off at the very bottom, which is none other than Rising Star. So there's 6 teams for each tier. We have Celtic Tigers managed by Tomster, High Kings managed by D Lynch, Irish Giants managed by Krolick, Wolfhounds managed by Rory, Banshees managed by Lovely Cans, and then the Saints managed by Ryan. So just to read out all the rosters real quick as well, or the rosters will be on screen here actually, so you'll be able to see them. I'll have an image just up right now. So the first thing that I'm looking at really quick for my predictions for this tier is how good of a team Tomster has. I think Bev's a brilliant player. I think Kanini is so solid at 3s. I haven't quite seen him at 2s, not enough anyways, but if it's anything like his 3s in this tier, I do think he'll dominate. And Duffy as well. He's also a very high quality player for like 3rd round. I'm looking at players in 2nd round that I'd much sooner pick Duffy over them. So I think that team is going to finish first. I just looked at other teams. I don't really see a team that can compete with them. I think Saints are alright. They're not terrible by any means. They're quite good. I think, Taste Rainbow's Hero and Rubber Ducky, in case you're only listening along and not actually looking at the video, which in case of that, I do not blame you. Very low quality 3s gameplay, going on right now. I did not play great in my series. We'll get to that a bit later. I think Rad, Big Hugh Jamie, and Large Ryan's a good team, specifically because Jamie's apparently GC2, but I'm not actually sure about how well he will play, so that's really like a dark horse, if anything. But I do think those teams will be the ones that battle out for 2nd and 3rd, if Jamie is as good as Dealand says he is. And that leaves 3 other teams: Jarv, Ethan, and Jfang on Irish Giants, Ferg, King of Casual, and Tazik on Wolfhounds, and finally Quark, Kevster, and Dinner on Banshees. And I think it'll be close. I think Ferg and King of Casual are great players, but Tazik is only a diamond, which is going to be the big difference here. Meanwhile, Quark and Kevster I do feel like are very much capable, especially with a player like Dinner. Hence, I'm going to have them 4th, Ferg, King of Casual, Tazik 5th, and Jarf, Ethan, Jfang 6th. I think Ethan as a 2nd pick from Krolick is wild. And I just do not see how that team manages to get anything going for them. I do think Tazik and their team will get close. I do think they'll push. I do think Ferg and King of Casual have exactly what it takes in 2s and 3s, 2s and 1s, but I think in 3s they're just really going to struggle. And yeah, I love Tazik. Got to meet him on LAN, at Worlds. And as well as that, obviously played a solo standard tournament with him, but I do think he might hold them back just a bit. But moving on to Shooting Star next, the rosters will be up there once again, and this tier is much tougher to predict, because I look at all of these teams and I think all of them are capable of making that top 4, and when you do make the top 4, it can really go any way. However, there is one duo that sticks out to me like a sore thumb, and it is Kismet and Pavilion. I think Kismet's a very solid 3s player for this tier. He's very consistent when he's given the space and the time. he knows how to just make magic with the ball. And considering he's going to have a lot of it in this tier, I do think he is a brilliant first pick by Ryan. Along with that, Pavilion as a second pick. I'm looking at players with their first pick there, and I'd much rather have Pavilion over them. Obviously, I've played with Pav on LAN before, so I do rate him very highly. And I just, even if Phil is a dodgy third pick, I do think there are some first picks in Rising Star that I would have above Phil. I do think Kismet and Pavilion have what it takes. So I just have to say Saints first there, man. I'm looking at the rest of the rosters, and I think this is where it gets very close. I think Pudding is a very solid player for the tier. I do think he's quite underrated, and I do think he could have been a third round in All-Star. But we'll get more into that in just a sec. I think Zexel, Mali, and Johns is a very solid roster, specifically because I do think Mali is the best ones player in this tier. Sark starts Saturday. Saturday's a bit of a wild card. Haven't seen enough of them play, but I've only heard good things. And then Grady, Buttsnorkler, Rene, also a bit of a wild card team in general. Dark Horses, very much capable if they can get in their swing, especially if Rene can play the way he was at LAN. There's one team I haven't mentioned, and unfortunately I think Banshees is just not going to really cut it this season. I love Redport. I've played a LAN with him, one of my best mates in the server, but him and Jez did not work well in RSC whatsoever this time 6 months ago. I do not see it changing now, just because it's a different competition. Finally, Bread, I played with him as well about a year and a half ago. Year and 3 months ago, actually, let's say. And if he's anyway the same player, I do think he is going to struggle. So you can stick them in 6th. Saints in 1st. After that gets very tight. I do think Rory struck gold with this roster. But I do also like Pudding Soul Dutch Boy. So I'm going to say they're going to have a battle out for 2nd. I really could not predict which one of them is going to come out on top. I think the list will be complete by Zex, O'Malley, and Jonzer to make playoffs, which means Grady, Buttsnorkler, and Rene will narrowly miss out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they swap places with any of those teams listed from 2nd to 4th. So, my tier now, All-Star. Obviously, this gameplay you're seeing in the background is All-Star gameplay. It's my gameplay from last night. I remember I thought I was playing great on the night, and then I watched back these replays, and I'm like, oh no, I played rubbish. Like just there, for example, me and Pudding doubling up a bit. I was coming time there. There was not time there whatsoever. If they take any time, Decomp has just scored that. We're 2-0 down. We might as well say goodbye. But we did get the win, was the main thing. Like there as well, I was playing very shaky. And you're going to see only more shakiness once we get to game 5. Because this is game 4. We went 2-1 down in series and then managed to pull back to 2-2. So yeah, we won 3-2 in the end 3s, 2-0 in the 2s. I lost 2-1 to Sosa in the 1s, which I'm actually more than proud of because he chose me because I was like, yeah, I'm muck at 1s. So we might as well get one of my 1 series out of the way here. So yeah, but that's how we got on anyways. As for predictions, I think there's some very good teams here. I think there's some very weak teams here. Going from left to right, I suppose, I think Eddie, Cookie, Dano is a very odd roster. All 3 of those players have a very similar play style of, yes, let's just sort of ball chase a bit, see what we can make happen. And on top of that, as much as I love Dano, I do not know if he is capable for this tier. Very good player, very mechanical player, but equally I think this team would have benefited from a player like Kismet, like Captain Pudding. Whether or not the lads actually would have liked playing with Captain Pudding, different question altogether. But I do think you need that sort of player that can just calm things down, and I just don't think this roster has it. I think me, Techie, and JTGM is a great roster. Arguably the strongest roster there for 3s and for 2s. Even if the gameplay here is shaky, I do know I'm capable of that myself, and I know that of the team as well. We were subbing up Pudding for this series, just in case I didn't mention it earlier. But yeah, I do think we are very much capable of playing 3s and 2s. Our biggest issue is we don't really have a 1s player there. But equally, I think you can look at a couple of teams there and also say the exact same thing. It also helps, obviously, I have chemistry with Techie. We play on natives together. We've played LANs together. Almost bet Lam and Little Dude on LAN, for example. Bet Dave and SAM. They are 4 players who are all quality of Superstar. Don't know why it's blank on the name of it, but yeah. So I do think we have everything that it takes to win, is what I'm going at. But moving on, anyways. Krolic, Johnny, and Adri on Irish Giants. Krolic was meant to be second pick here. The only reason he's first pick is because Dave wanted to mess around with him, which absolutely respect it. This is another team I'm not really sure on. Adri I've not seen really at all. So Adri could be sensational, Adri could be rubbish. I'm not really sure. But Johnny and Krolic are both players they're capable to cheer, but I don't think that team works together is the issue. So we'll see. That's a horrible miss by me, by the way, just on the video there. Didn't think it was going to be an open net, but a bad habit, I suppose. But yeah, so that's Krolic's team out of the way. Rory's Wolfhound says Epic's Ryan 404 and Estonian Shark. And Estonian Shark's just another one I've not seen in so long. He comes back for RLIS every season. Always shows up. But at the same time, it just feels odd. Like, he's never around the server, so it's hard to rate him. Rory rates him very highly. By the way, when I scored that goal, I just screamed nice. Everyone in the house heard me. Not best pleased family, but anyways. Back on point, I do think this team will solely revolve around what can Estonian Shark do. Is he good enough for the cheer? Because I haven't seen enough of him. I could not tell you what his rank is right now. But equally, when you have players like Ryan and Epics, I really do think you need a third man here. And this is another case of, yeah, I think a Kismet could benefit you. I think a Pudding could benefit you. But we'll have to wait and see, because maybe Estonian Shark is just what they need. Can's roster now. Panda himself and Luca. So I think this team is either going to do brilliantly or horrendously. Obviously, I play with Panda a good bit now. He is on Native Academy now in replacement of Krolic. And I do think he's a very, very solid 3s player. I think Luca also will help alongside the 2s. I think both of them will absolutely challenge into 2s. But I think there's 2 big questions right now to be asked. Which, number 1, is Cans good enough for the 3s? He's struggling in Prem right now. And he's not 2s play. He's going to have to play some 2 series for them. At least 1 2 series, as far as I'm aware. And he's not great at the 2s either, is the thing. So the only thing, I don't know. I just do not think this roster has enough carry potential in Panda. I think Panda and Luca can absolutely carry, but I think Cans will just let them down. So I think saying they don't have enough carry potential is a bit wrong. I think it's more so just that Cans, I think, legitimately could be a first round shooting star here, if not 3rd round all-star. Also, just have to mention, Luca being 3rd round all-star is diabolical, and all 6 managers have to put their heads down in shame, really, because if I'm a manager there, I'm looking at the first picks, and I think Luca deserves to be amongst those. But well, he's managed to snuck his way down, and maybe the only chance Can's team has of making damage, because Luca is a tough player to play against, to say the least. Finally, Ryan's roster, the roster we played yesterday: Decomp, Sosa, and Ryan himself. And there's a lot to mention. We weren't playing well at all. Decomp said they weren't playing well either, and Ryan was also saying they were all three of them were quite sick this week. Which, fair enough, you could probably see in the gameplay. You could also see from that miss there that I'm just a bit muck. But we were a better team. We have good goal, by the way, from Decomp here. Good control, then managed to slot it around me. Credits given where credits due. I don't know what to think of this roster. I think Sosa's an incredible player. Again, another player he's second round, and I don't know how he's managed it. Because he's possibly the best player in the tier. But then in the ones yesterday, he looked extremely flat. And it was only after, like, I'm a bad ones player, and it's only after I started playing stupid, to say the least, that he started pulling it back. Now maybe that's because no one really knows how good I am. Well, if you're not around the server, you're not gonna know how good I am at once. You have to be cautious. But at the same time, I really was expecting Sosa to come out with full mechs. And in the end, it was a very winnable game. And this is coming from someone who's like champ 1 in ones. Now, I don't play ones much, but at the same time, I still, whenever I do play ones, I lose a good few matches in ones at that rank. So that goes to show, I guess, what level I am at. But at the same time, it's their first week. I do think Decomp's a very good player. Very good threes player at that. I think Sosa's a very good player. And having played with Ryan Peoples, I know what he is capable of. Is Ryan capable for the tier with how often he plays? I know he doesn't play as often as a lot of players. Something to be asked. And we'll see over the coming weeks. So I guess I had to give a real in-depth one for this tier because it is really going to be a close tier. But if I had to predict, I think you have to back yourself. I have to say we're going to win. Because what's the point otherwise? Why would I compete? And why would I be making this video if I thought, yeah, we're going to finish last? I do think we have all it takes to win. We're winning series when we're playing bad. Against Sosa, who's I don't know Sosa's main. I've only seen one of his ults. But Decomp kept on mentioning his main is 2k. So if that's the case, like beating a 2k while we're not on our day, we'll take it. I say we. Techie played great. This is a me problem. I didn't play well whatsoever. But I think we still have what it takes to finish first, especially with JTG. Very solid threes player. And I have full faith in him to put in a shift when we do call him for the twos. Second, this is tough because I look at all these teams and I think, including our own, like every single team here is beatable, but could also just go on a huge run. But I do think that Decomp Sosa duo will do very well. I do think they'll bounce back from this loss. Decomp was mentioning yesterday he always starts quite slow. I do think they're going to bounce back. I do think we will meet them in the finals, or if we don't meet them in the finals, we'll meet them in the semis. Because I do think they're a very strong team. From here on out is where it gets a bit more tough. I want to rate Epic's Ryan 404 Shark, but I think the team only truly has twos going for them there. I struggle to see them beating the top teams in threes. Meanwhile, I think Eddie, Cookie, and Dano could catch people off. I think Panda, Cans, Luca could catch people off. So where I have faith in them, I don't have as much faith in themselves. And this is coming from someone who quite rates Epics quite highly, thinks Ryan is a bit underrated by the community. I still do think, like Eddie and Cookie that's a great duo. I think Cookie has great ones. I'm not going to say, I do not know if Epic's Ryan or Shark, if any of them are good at ones. Meanwhile, Luca, I reckon he's good at ones by the way he plays. I think Cookie's quite good at ones. So yeah, I do think it's going to be Tigers third, Banshees fourth, Wolfhounds fifth, and Krollick, I love you mate, but I have very, very little faith in that team making a run into the top 4. I do think they finished last. But look, one more tier to go up. I've yapped on about my own tier. Time to speak about players that are better than me. Superstar. And this one is going to be... that's a horrendous miss again, by the way, from me. Did not mean to miss that. This is going to be an interesting tier as well. Tomster, Lam, and Nathan. Look, I don't know. I think Lam is a superb player, for starters. Very, very good player. I think Lam and Tomster will combine very well. Nathan, I swear they have beef in general, but I'm going to take a guess and say it was all just them joking about, and I'm just not in the loop. But that team could cause a lot of damage if they can get all on the same wavelength. Yuk made a D-Land, very solid team. I don't think much needs to be said about that. Yukzula, great player. And really could cause a dent in the top sides. But there is obviously one side that we'll get to in a sec that'll likely dominate just a bit more than the rest of them. For now though, Puka, Shadow, Minty. Krolik, what are you doing, mate? It's very clear Krolik was not really paying attention to last season. Because, as far as I'm aware, this team played together last season. Didn't do well. There's an iconic clip of, I think, Pukas. One of them went like Spanish, and the other one instantly just like, no. And that says to me, oh, they don't even trust each other that much. I think this team's going to do abysmal. And it doesn't have the fact that Krolik, not even stream, basically like, yeah, no, I actually don't like Minty that much. Krolik definitely had a mare, to say the least. And I just do not see this team doing anything because of that. I love Minty. I think he had a very good LAN. But realistically, does he belong in this tier? Is the question. Are there players in the tier below that you could put above him? I think there's some answers. You could say yes to some of them. I think Sosa could go above him, for example. And Sosa was second pick in our tier. Like, it's just stuff like that. I do think they'll challenge, but I do think it's a very weak team. Luke Po no Sam could do amazing, could do horrible. I think Sam could be asked the same questions potentially. Less so than Minty, though. I do think Sam's very solid, especially in twos. But equally, you're picking him as your third choice player. So definitely some question marks, but less so than the ones with Minty. And then, look, Luke Podnus, great players anyways, so I do reckon you'll be mostly fine. Not going to say they won't win, because I do think they'll absolutely win. Shark, Winter, Jaffa. I do think very odd second pick. I think Jaffa's good enough for a second pick. I don't know if Winter's good enough for... Like, I'm looking at all the third picks. I'd take Nathan over Winter, personally. I don't know what the pick order was. So if Cans was like... no, actually, no, I can tell you, because Shark was obviously picked first. Never mind. Winter was what? 12th pick. I do think maybe Nathan would be a better pick there. Otherwise, I'm looking at the rest of the names and I'm thinking, yeah, no, that's actually fair enough. So can't fall for that. But then finally, Ryan had Hidden Waffle Zach. I think that's a very strong roster. I think that's capable of doing damage. Krolik won't be happy that Hidden was stolen off of him. So yeah, we'll see how that works for that. I do think that roster. Zach's apparently meant to be great, but it's like Jamie in Rising Star, where we don't actually really know how good they are. So we'll have to wait and see. But if I had to guess where everyone's going to finish, I do think Shark, Winter, Jaffa are going to be first, because I think Shark is just a level above. But I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was maybe last season. I do think that team could struggle a bit. Just because I'm looking at all the other second picks, I do think Winter is just a tad bit below. I think second will be Tomster, Lamb, and Nathan. I think if they can get going, they are a very, very strong team. And I've zero doubt in my mind that they will start getting going, put aside any differences they have, because it'd be a nice little chat. I do think that team could potentially take on Shark in, like, what, final stage is what, a best of 9? If I'm not mistaken. I haven't been there, so how am I supposed to know? But if it's best of 9, like I recall, then I do think this team could do major damage. But we'll have to wait and see. Third and fourth. This is tough. Yuck, Mayday, Dealan. So we're gonna wipe out Krollik. I think that team finishes. This is another one of Krollik's teams. I'm just like, what have you done, mate? 3 of the 4 of them, I think, are just muck. Which, sorry, boss, but like, what are you at? But looking at those names, I think Yuxula, Mayday, Dealan is a team that just does so well in 3s. Yuck's very much a carry player. Mayday and Dealan a bit more consistent. Tom has that amazing video of Dealan at Newry, but look, it's a year and a bit ago now. I do think he is a somewhat better player. He still does do the Dealan dives, but once you just don't put him on the 2s, just keep him on the 3s, I think you're fine. I think that team will make top 4. And then to join them, I think it comes down to how good Zach is. I think if Zach is as good as Ryan thinks he is, then they'll get top 4, and I think they will finish above Dave's team. If they're not as good, I think Luke, Poe, Nuss, Sam are the ones to pull it off instead. But genuinely, I do think it's going to be very tight between those teams. I think it'll be very tight between 3rd, 4th, 5th. But 1st and 2nd will be in a little group of their own. And 6th will also be in a group of their own. So we'll have to see how it goes. But just to recap real quick, and then I'll let you all off. We have Shark, Winter, Jaffa winning Superstar under Banshees. Then we have me, Techie, JGGM winning under High Kings. I'm gonna stick with Saints winning, with Kismet, Pavilion, Dangerous Gamer, and Shooting Star. And finally, I think Bev, Hanini, Duffy win Rising Star. But for now, that's been a 28-minute video, a long one of that, me yapping away. But I have been Nova. You lot have been awesome. Have a good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.